Hello folks, only me. Well, today's video is a little bit about my Lambretta Li 125 Series 3 1963 model. And I bought this about 12 years ago as a wreck. And I got it, it had been imported from Italy. It looked like it had been sat in someone's dry old barn for years and years. I bought it from Par Speed Scooters up north, Lancashire, I think. And I had it up and running and sorted out within a few months when I got it registered in 2014, I think it was. Used it for a little bit, and I've got some video footage actually of it as it was before, and I'll put it on here on this video.
An ink splat. And little back seat was the fun. Starting to look very cool, this Lambretta, with its little additions. And he's going to go for a little spin now. I think he wants me to film him. And he's off again. He's just going to turn round. Yeah, and here he comes. Lambretta City. And as you can see, he looks very pleased with himself. She's starting to look cool. Could be in Italy. Give us a wave. Bye for now. Well, here we are, a couple of hours later, after that final ride. And as you can see, things are being stripped. That's not including Mickey.
I'm doing quite well.
Yeah?
Got as far as here. Engine will be well, no. Engine probably one of the last things to come out. Sure it is. Yes. Trying to get the toolbox out at the moment. There we go.
Oh, it's out.
Look at that. Oh.
That's the original colour inside.
Yeah, white.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been repainted sometime.
Alright.
Yeah, just draining the fuel off. Dog's come to have a look.
Hi, Rex. Hello, darling. Hello.
It's only about 2.5 hours now so far.
About that?
Yeah. I reckon I'm doing alright.
You are?
Got loads of bits here, look.
Yeah, I know. We're just going to come and have a little shot of them all. Side panels.
All seal.
Know what that thing is, that bit there. But
That's the leg shield, the main leg shield.
oh, main leg shield, yeah. Dog's still looking.
Handlebars. I've got to get the lock out of it before it goes off for paint.
Oh, right,
I
yeah,
have to look on Sticky's manual how to do that, 'cause I'm not sure.
Okay. And this is bag of bits.
Loads of bits, saddle. All marked up and bagged up.
Yeah.
As in fact these will be.
Marvellous. She's looking a shell of her former self.
myself.
Right, well I think that's it for a little while. We'll be back for a few shots after, later on in the day. Okay?
Yeah, thanks
Alright,
darling.
you're welcome. Bye now.
Yeah. And then I completely stripped it down, got it resprayed. It was resprayed by a Lambretta man who did a lot of work on Lambrettas. French guy, can't remember his name now. And then put it back together and used it for a little bit while I was still working, but then when I first retired I used it quite a bit. Used to go around with the Rushden Lambretta Club Haven't done that for a couple of years, but hopefully do a bit more of that this year. And with them, I've booked it in to go to a show in Rushden on the 3rd of August this year, down in Rushden Hall Park. And the chap who runs the club, Colin, he has organised at least 15 Lambrettas to go. He's hoping to get more as a bit of a show, so should be good fun. So the only reason I've got it on the ramp is because I haven't used it for a while, so I need to have a little look round her. I want to change. Now I've got this from one of Colin's mates. I've forgotten his name. I was going to put it on the video. He asked around. He knew I wanted a long one of these. It's the rod for the fuel tap, because the one that's on it is short, and then someone's put a little extra piece in there, and it's all a bit. It can easily get if you don't pull it out when you turn it on, it gets tangled up. Keep meaning to do it. I mean, I just asked a question, and this turned up. And another thing is, I've got a thread on the other side, which I'll show you in a minute. That's torn out. So I'll have to look at that. I've got various studs here that I got from Bead Speed years ago now to do the job, but never got around to doing it. So we'll have a look at that. But yeah, we'll have a quick look around the scooter. She looks like she needs a bit of a wash from the last time I was out. A few flies on her. She's got, well, these must be 12 years old now, the tyres, but more modern tyres. But it's mostly standard. Got standard brakes on it. New cables at the time. That's all original. The original glass and reflector. On the Speedo, if I remember right, it's the original Speedo. It's in kilometres because it used to be Italy. This was really yellowed out, so I bought an Indian one of these and just swapped the glass over. It's got a few Indian bits on it, including a barrel and piston and cylinder head, because on one of my runs I was going flat out, trying to keep up with some of the quicker Lambrettas, ran out of fuel and didn't get that clutch in quick enough. It's annoying really, and at the speed I was doing it just ran out of oil, and it just burnt out the piston really. So got it home, and I think it was within 3 days I had it back running. I went up to Cambridge Lambretta, got the parts, we had it running ready for the next meeting. But that was a few years ago now. So the other thing that's Indian on it is the ignition. It's got an Indian electronic ignition, which, yeah, it's been alright. You know, at the time I heard a lot of sort of baddish stories about them, but I thought I'd give it a go. So much cheaper than some of the Italian ones, and since I put that on, no problem starting it and everything. So there we go, little mascot sat there. Yeah, I'm going to take the side covers off now and show you the little jobs I'm going to be doing on it, and crack on and start on doing these little jobs. I'll put you in the stand here next to the old Suzuki. There we go. Okay. Right. Right, so let's get his cover off. There we go. And we'll sneak in here. So this is why a lot of people call these little Lambrettas hair dryers, because the engine looks like it's a hairdryer. There we go. The rod's here. I don't know if we can see. I might have to get a bit closer with the old camera when I'm working on it. But I've got to get up. You can just about see what's moving there. There's another universal joint in there which doesn't really need to be there. And that operates the tap. You can see the tap moving like that. So I'm hoping to be able to set this up properly. Now the other side, let's work on this side first. Right, let's have a look. Right, let's have a look at this. I'm going to get this air filter out the way first. So undo that little clamp there. There we go. Lift that out of the way. I think generally they're supposed to just stay on there, but that's quite a big gap there, so take the thing out of the way. Might make it easier, and pull that off of there. Now, if I remember rightly, this air filter does get a bit stuck in here sometimes. The metal that's around it has got caught. There we go. Just got caught a bit here. I think I'll just leave it. Push it in a little bit. Okay. Now, the bit I'm after is here, so this rod. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure this one's longer, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the carburetor off, because it'd be an idea to take the bowl off and give it a bit of a clean anyway, as it's been sat for a while. I always let them run until they run out of fuel, but it always leaves a drop in there. So I'm going to do this clutch, what am I on about? Talking rubbish again. The choke, that's the choke. So basically that lifts up a plunger and lets more fuel in when it's cold to start it. If I can get this off, there we go. There's no hose clamps on here, but there never has been. Then there's a little clamp that holds the carb on. So we should be able to, let's have a look. If I can screw that all the way out. This is the old cable, the old choke cable from when I got it. I put a new choke cable on it, and if I remember, it was slightly the wrong length, inner length, but you could adjust it out so that it worked. But for some reason it never started very well with the new cable. It was just one of those mystery things. I messed about with it. So this has a little seal on there, little rubber seal, and that goes over like a hole, and when you put the choke on, it lifts it up and it lets more fuel in. So I mucked about. I thought the only thing I've changed is the cable. I put the old cable back on, started no problem, whether it's hot, cold or whatever. So answer that one. And I can't, I couldn't at the time. Now I'm going to hopefully pull this off without injuring myself. Oh yeah. And then the throttle cable just comes out. So look, yeah. If I lift that up, that's it. And I should be able to get the inner cable out. Do I have to take the adjustment off? Perhaps I do. Didn't think I did. I thought that came out, but clearly not. Get that little rubber bit off. Oh. Oh. Right, I'll undo that nipple, that adjuster. Going on here? Come on. It does come out, look. But he thought it did. Must have a slight burr on it. Right, so I'll nip that up roughly where it was. We'll take that to the bench in a minute and just take the bowl off and check she's not got any water or any crud in it. I think it should be right. And now, if we look in here, first thing I notice is there's a bolt missing. A little bolt missing off of there. And if I'm honest, it looks like it's been missing for a while. Because if I was to put a bolt in there now, there'd be an air gap. So I'd have to loosen off this fan to get it on first. I think I'll probably need to do that if I can get a little bolt for it. But the job in hand at the moment is trying to get rid of this awful thing. So what I mean, you have to pull it out to get it to turn on. So I need to just undo these little split pins. Or if you're in America, it's a cotter pin. Whereas cotter pins for us go through a pedal onto the shaft. But there you go. That's the British and that's the Americans. Now, if I turn that way, I should be able to get on there. Oh, we've got fuel pissing out, silly arse. Why did I do that? Don't know how old that fuel is. It's probably a couple of years old. Will it be alright? So, let's have a think. Let's pop that back on there. Just to get that out. I think I might just cut that. Let's cut that off. And then pull the little bits out. There we go. Thank fuck for that. I saw that both these bits are gone. Bits of split pin are gone. And I thought, where have they gone? None of them went down there. But they hadn't. I've got 3 bits. But let's pop something in that hole. There we go. So now I may have to move the position of the fuel tap. So what I'm thinking is I now need to take this other bit off, take that split pin out, there we go. So that's the bit I'm getting out, this extra bit. Looks like it's been made up. And I'm hoping this new one that I got, I've got his name, Lawrence. Lawrence from the Rushton Lambretta Club. Thank you very much, Lawrence. I think with a little bit of jiggery pokery, move that over a bit, that should be lovely. So I just need to move the fuel tap over a bit, and that's awesome. Metric. What size would that be? 19? Oh yes. So if I undo that, put it there initially. I'll get a split pin. I shall then take the pipe off. Check that it's in the off position when it is in the off position. Then offer this carburetor back just to check it's not going to hit on anything. I think it might hit here. I might have to come around a little bit more. But I've got a little bit of play in there, so yeah, let's get the split pin put in first. If I can find one. Right, I've got a split pin in there. I've took the carb off, so if I put that on there, that should be on. But it's probably not got enough fuel in it. Put it on there, that's reserve. So that's good. That works lovely. It just feels so much better. So I'm going to twist this split pin around. Pop that back on. That's lovely. Why didn't I do that all those years ago? It's one of those things, you're always busy doing something else. There we are. So, as I say, I want to leave that bit of rag in there for a minute. This is going to be put on just to make sure, and I think it is going to hit. Yeah, so I need to basically probably put this back where it was. It's got to go all the way up to the end of that manifold. Let's get a little bit more, it's just starting to touch. That still works though. That's it. That's it. I think that'll be alright. Yeah, we have clearance. He says, I've got clearance, but that is very tight. Let's bring it back a little bit. Bloody hell. I don't want it hitting the top of the engine either. Not much room in there. It doesn't feel too good. It's a shame. I'm just going to bring that back a little bit. That's a big shame. Undo that and pull that round. It doesn't feel as nice as it did when I first put it on. Makes you wonder, should I put, there's a homemade one here, which is a bit longer. Or is it? I don't think it is actually. No. I think we'll live with it. When you go from off to on, that's nice and smooth. It's when you flip over to reserve, it just kinks the universal joint a little bit. But on the whole, I'm usually just on like that. So we'll do that. We'll live with that. Good. Right. Just double check that. Right, let's get the carb off and have a quick look in the bowl. Right, already done these. I've got to put the video on. Right, so there we go. That's all right. There's no water in there. There is what I would say is a little bit of sediment of rust. Very fine, which is probably just a bit from the tank. The tank's quite clean, but you always get a little bit. I think that's in good nick. What I should do is I should just get my air compressor and blow these jets out. Should I take them out? I bet you're all saying yes. Smells good actually, I feel, even though it's been there so long. Yeah, I've got this far. I will do the right thing. And also check this little filter. So I'll put a little mark on there. There's probably a mark somewhere else from last time I did it. That's me fresh arrows. Do the right thing, blow, take the jets out and give them a quick blow off. And just hope we don't create a problem. So in here you see there's a little filter. And I'm glad I took it off because there is a little bit of dirt in there, which we can just blow out. You see that? Get that blown off. It's just little bits of particles of rust from the tank, I think. But the filter's doing its job to a certain extent. When you get the real fine stuff, ends up in here. That doesn't seem to stop it running. So, yeah, I shall fire up the oil compressor and get all that cleaned up, take the jets out, blow them off, put them back in again. leave that. I'll leave that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's pretty clean. So let's get this back together. Put that one in there. Thinking that goes on that way. There's a little ridge there, and that must be where the where is it? Which way does that go on? Because if I go out the other way, it's going to affect the float, so it must go on that way. That's it. Oh bollocks! Come here. These little screws that you always, when you're bombing along, following the others, you're thinking, oh, there's little screws I had undone. Did I do them tight enough? Did I put them back in? This is an air jet, I believe. Yeah, it must be an air. Or was it? It's not slow running. No, it's the air jet. And that was in, or either it was out. Five half turns. I counted them as I. So basically, I went in, so it stopped, and I went out, and then I checked how many it went in. Now I'm going to do the same. So it's the same setting as when I took it apart, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's that, and it's got to put the what's it back on now. There's a little scratch mark. There it is. So the filter goes on, and then the gasket's okay. Put that on like that. Line that up. Oh, bloody hell, what's that then? Can't see me mark now. Well, I'll be darned. Where's that gone? Ah, there it is. Okay. That's it. So we put that back on. And I shan't worry about that little screw. Call me slack. But I think it's been off ever since it's been rebuilt, 'cause there's no evidence. Oh, you're probably not on camera. So I've been putting the carb on. I'm just putting the choke in now, carefully, because I don't want to cross thread it. some reason it's not going in nicely. It's not playing. Come on, play nicely. Oh, dear, dear, dear. There we go. We've started it. Put the fuel on and pop this back on. I'm going to set that so it's horizontal. It does go on to reserve. It is a bit clicky, but from off to on it feels nice. Certainly a lot better than it was. So I'll tighten that up. Oh, that feels all right. Good. Let's get this filter back on then. There's a little hose here, goes into a little bracket in the in that tin can, in the hairdryer bit. It's supposed to pop in there. Like that. There we go. Classic Lambretta bits. There we go. Good. And tighten this up. It's an original clamp, which is nice. It's actually, when it's fully tight, it doesn't seem to be gripping as you'd expect. Oh, it is, yeah, but it's enough to hold it on there. I'm not going to start changing it for something that's, well, it's worked for as long as I've had it, so that's fine. Right. There we go. So what I'm going to do now, I think I'm going to start it. Hasn't been started for a while. See how many kicks. Right then, let's see if she'll start. Realistically, I probably did start it around about November last year. It hasn't been started since Christmas, that's for sure. So we're going to put the fuel on onto reserve because we know there isn't any in the there isn't much in the tank, and this one's choke. So see how we go. great noise. Reminds me of my youth. Before I was even old enough to ride with you on the road. That's good. I'm pleased with that. Turn the fuel off. And the next job then is to take this side panel off and have a look at this bolt that's sheared off, or stud that's sheared off, or it's missing, or something like that. Okay. Right, so back here I've got a broken off stud. It's been like it since I rebuilt it, and at the time I bought some studs here from Bead Speed when they were actually at Grimsby. Went to their old shops. That's how long ago it was. I've got some various studs here. So I think that's a standard one. This is a one that you can tap the crankcase out slightly larger and fit that. I don't think we'll be using this one. It may not even have been bought for this now. I think that's for something else. So it's one of these two, because the alternative is that I tap, when I get in there, I tap it out and put a helicard in. Might be a better idea doing it actually. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So what we've got to do is take this cover off. And if I remember rightly, the best way to do that is to drop this footboard out of the way. So there's a screw here. There's another screw which is part of this moulding, another nut rather, so it's a stud, and a nut under there, and a nut under there. Take that out of the way, and then I think I'll probably have to get this bracket out the back. Just give me a bit more clearance. That may or may not have to happen, because this has got to come out. Once I've got the screws out, this has got to come out. I can take the shock off and oik up the bike. I've got a girder up here. I can put a hoist on there, and I can hoik that up so that the engine drops, and I can have a bit more room then. But I've got to be careful. I'll take the plug out probably, but I've got to be careful because there's not much room here, and I've got it clamped at the front. But we'll see. We'll take some bits off. The main object of the exercise is to get this cover off. Oh, it includes taking the exhaust off as well. But let's get some spanners on it and see how we go. I think the first thing I'll do is take the kickstart off. And for that, I think that's a 10mm. What's that? I think the 10mm then. Yeah, it's a 10mm. That must be a 11. There we go. 11mm. I use the old iPhone to film, and I've never noticed before that the lights come on. I've never noticed that when I'm videoing before. I'll leave it though. Alright, hopefully you're in shot. I'm undoing this now. Oh, that's tight. It's been on there for years. I've had this bike about 10 years now. I think I mentioned that in the previous part of this video. But this is about a week or so later from when I put that shaft on for the fuel tap, the rod. So it probably is seconds for you, days and days for me. Right, wiggle that off. I may have to do the old trick with a little screwdriver in there. Come on, off he comes. That's tight. It's tight on there. Get me a little screwdriver. give that a little tap in there. Hope you can see this. Just to spread it a little bit. And you see that makes all the difference, doesn't it? Not. Well, I don't know what's going on here. Come on. First job. Simple little job. Getting this off. I'm going to have to get a couple of pry bars, I think. Now these pry bars may look like screwdrivers. That's because they are screwdrivers. Never use a screwdriver as a pry bar. But sometimes needs must. Come on, you little bugger. Bloody well will come off. It just doesn't know it yet. Come on. Bloody hell, come on. Stop pissing about. At last. That does look a bit beaten up, that knurl on there. We'll see. I've had to change one of those before because it was knackered. I had this re-chromed 10 years ago. I'm a little bit rusty, but it's not too bad. It just needs a bit of polish on it. Right, that's that. So, I'll put the nut and bolt in here. And now take this, how much can you see? We've got to get this, what's it off? This side bit. There we go. So, I think there's a little, that's it, a little nut on there for an 8mm, it's an 8mm socket. With washer. There's a nylon locking nut on there with a washer, and the same here, I think. Go. And then this screw here. Little countersunk screw. see how easy will it be to get this off. Yeah, that's it. So that was a little, there's a little nut, a little stud that's in the moulded plastic here. An anti-vibration rubber there, another one there. And then the same deal this end, little stud comes through off this grip, this floor grip. So that's quite simple. Get that out of the way. Now, I want to get this exhaust off. I'm hoping I can split it at the tube. I don't really want to take the manifold off, or take it off at the manifold, because they're a bit awkward to get to from what I remember. May have to. I'm going to squirt some WD-40 on that nut because it looks a bit rusty. There we go. So the one I'm getting now is that one there. Undo that and hope we can wriggle that exhaust off. If not, I have to go and get on these nuts up here, which could be a bit of a pain in the arse. A leakage up there, but I'm not too worried about that. Okay. Let's have a look. That is an 8, I think. No, it can't be. Must be a 10mm socket. Yeah, 10mm. How much can you see there? Can you see what I'm up to? I think so. Yeah, that's undoing. That clamp's now loose, so we'll leave it on there with a nut in it. Another nut down here. Drop you down a bit. I'll get a couple of trays to put these bits in. Now, this one here, there's 2 of these, and I think they're 13mm. Well, they're 30mm spanner anyway. Get them out of the way. Some lock washers. These things vibrate quite a bit, so everything's got lock washers. Now, try and wriggle this off. I can't twist it because it's on these studs. I might just have to knock it a little bit. If I can get up there with a fibre hammer. There we go. One exhaust. Okay, so I think the next thing to do would be drain the oil. So we better get a tray and an Allen key. You've got I think that's a level plug. You know, it's been that long since I've worked on these things. I think that's a level plug. So the oil should be sitting along here, that level. And that's a drain plug. About it. Right, so there we go. I'm going to drain the oil and then remove this bracket. That's it. That is dirty. And we've got a few little shreds of dirt on the magnetic plug. It looks normal, I think. But the oil definitely needed changing. So I'll pop that, I'll wipe that off actually. Pop that in there. Yeah, nothing big on there, just little bits, quite normal really. So I'll give it a good wash off before I put it back in. I think undo these next. There we go. Oh, I thought it was a 10. What have I got here? It's a 10. There we go. There's probably someone out there saying, you don't need to take that bracket off. But it's only 2 bolts. It gives me a bit of extra clearance. It works for me. Just a little locking nut on there, no washer. Okay, now what I have got to do is get this clutch cable out. So if I can jam something up there. So I can wriggle that out. Something a little bit longer than, I'm just pulling the clutch lever in. I want to get something across here so that I can then just slide it out. What I'm trying to do is get that cable out. So if I can pull it with a clutch lever, get the cable out, then release the nipple. Without, I don't have to do any adjusting then, and it'll go back where it was. That's the plan. So let's have a look. Pull that in, and what about that? Twist a bit of wood up, pull the cable. That's it. So that's off. Right, so I'm going to off camera undo these nuts, and then we'll get into the position where we can wiggle this out. Right, that's all the screws off. Quick double check. So he's got to take his cover off now. How easy will that be? What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a screwdriver up here and give it a little lever on that breather. Give it a little tap. I'm pretty sure this stays on here, but I may have to undo that. Bloody hell. I really want somewhere just to give it a little pry. Pry off. What about that? There's more stuff on there. I may have put some sealer on the gasket when I built it up. Aha! Why didn't you guys tell me? Left the nut on. The one I left because it was awkward to get to. I thought I'd do that one last. Silly arse. Yeah. Get that out of the way. And I checked to see if I had them all out. And what difference will that make? All the difference. Right, so I'm gonna there look at that. There you have it. Camera girl just brought me out a cup of tea, some ginger snaps, so that's good. We'll have some of them. Now, just looking at this, so there's the hole I've got the problem with. Get a bit of light on there. It's actually stripped out. You see the threads are stripped out. You can see further down in the hole there are threads. And looking at my studs, I think I might have been talking bollocks because, which I do sometimes. They're both too big, those ones. Are they possibly exhaust ones? I'm not sure. But we do have this new one, and that's a proper side casing one. So all I've got to do here, I believe, is put a helicard in. I don't know if I've got any in stock, so I might have to get a little kit on order. I'll have a look at that. But meanwhile, whilst I'm in here, anyone that knows about Lambrettas, and this is only what I remember from when I put this together, that plate there, which is holding the gear clusters in, is held to the crank or the gearbox casing with some nuts. You can just about see one of them down there, and they're on studs which are in the alley case, and it's not uncommon for them to get loose or to pull out, the threads pull out. I know I changed one or put a helicoil in last time I was in there. I just wanted to double check as I've got this far, and there's no rush to get this finished. I want to take the clutch off and just check all those nuts are good, because while I'm doing helicoiling I might as well changing it that look like they might have pulled, because if they do come loose, it starts rubbing on the back of the clutch housing, if I remember rightly, making a right bloody mess. There wasn't that much metal in there, but why not have a look at that now? So I'm going to take the clutch off, and also, is this I don't know what the tension should be like on this. I have got a book on one of these, so it may be that just needs splitting up here just to give it a little bit more tension. I might have to get my old mate Colin String around there. He'll tell me whether that's all right or not. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do next. I shall look up on my little Lambretta book to remind me how this comes apart. Is it a circlip? Might be a circlip. I know there's a tool on there for undoing it, which I've got the tools for it. So 10 years on, I've bloody well forgotten, and I haven't done a great many of these. So that's what my next little job is, to have a look at that. Right, so I've had a look. I can't find a helicoil kit for this, so I'll have to get one ordered. So I'm going to measure the stud, make sure it's on 0, measure that across there. That's 5.78, so that's a M6. It's M6 stud. I want to make sure I get the right pitch when I order the kit. This is a little thread gauge out of a little Chinese set. I think these are pitch of 1 mil. Let's have a look. So you get your little gauge, and you just line it up against the thread, and that fits perfectly. So that's 1 mil. So it's M6 helicoil kit, 1 mil pitch, and we'll get that ordered, and then we can fit a new helicoil to that and get this stud fitted. And that'll be another little job done. Okay, so I've had a little look at my book and refreshed my mind, and yes, there is a circlip. Of course there's a circlip, and there it is there. So in order to undo that circlip, you've got to squash the clutch in against the springs, and there's a tool for that, which of course I've got from 10 years ago. I've dug some tools out here. So that's the tool you put on for pushing the clutch down. I think there should be a little cup on there if it's a proper tool. This is an Indian special. So when I put this on, I'll probably put a little bit of alley between that and the pin in the middle of the clutch, just so I don't get any damage. And then once you've released that and taken the clutch out, there will be a nut, and in order to undo the nut on to hold the basket on, the clutch basket, you have to hold the clutch basket, and that's this tool here. So without further ado, I shall set you up, and we'll go through that. It shouldn't take too long. I've had to set up a little sort of cheap 12-volt light here, because this is the dark side of the dark side of the garage, and just thought a little bit more light might help. Right, let's get you set up. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. so this goes on here. Not quite sure which way around. This is a, as I say, made in India, so it's a bit rough and ready, but and it's something you could make yourself. For the price that it was at the time, though, I just bought the whole kit, and they are a bit rough and ready, but you know, it didn't cost that much. And it does the job. So I could just put some washers on there. I don't really, you don't actually need to, but it's just nice to have washers behind nuts. And I'm going to put some of these nuts on, the original nuts. I'll just get a spanner to wind them on. A socket, I mean. Must already have that 10 out. Here we are. Right. Should be right. Now I don't know whether you do it with this little pin, this little cover on, or not. I don't suppose it really matters. So I think I'll leave it on. Then I'm going to put this bit of alley in here, because that's with I know that with a proper tool, an Italian tool, this is machined back, this thread. It's got a little cup on it, well, similar to this cup, but a bit bigger. You could probably get away without using a bit of alley, but there we go. So now what you're doing now is pushing against those springs. So you can then, you don't have to go that far, I don't think. You get a little screwdriver and there we are. Just take this clip out, circlip. There we go, you take that off. And we'll put that to one side. So you should now be able to release this clutch. Get that, there you go. Take that right back out of the way and pull the whole lot out like that. There we go. And what I'm not worried, but what I'm thinking is when I put this back together, those springs are going to be a bugger. So I may have to lay the scooter on its side, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So, there's my springs. And you can see now there's a lock tab on there, and that's a nut I'll be undoing, but if you try and undo it, it just spins, which is why you got the other tool. So let's get this tool off now. Hole needs enlarging. It's a bit tight. There we are. A bit tight on the bottom there. Oof. You pay your money, you get what you pay for. So, as you can see there, there's a lock tab. So I shall knock this back and we'll undo that. What size spanner that is. That ain't that size. Let's have a look. We've got a 19. That's it. So it looks like it is. $23, is that? $22. $22. I'll just knock this on here to not rest that tab in. Get a good grip on it then. And we'll get this tool, supposedly. I think I might have the wrong tool here. Right, let's go and see what else we got. Right, so we've definitely got a situation of the blind leading the blind here, because that was the wrong tool. I don't know what that one's used for. So I had a look in my toolbox and there's this little tool here, which I would say is clearly this one. So we get that on there. Oh, here we go. I almost want this. Tell me why that's not going. Oh, here we go. I say it's in neutral. It's just the compression against that. So we'll put that back on there. That's it. But the other thing I found was this little tool, and I'm guessing this is when you're putting it back together. I'm hoping. Yeah, it makes sense. It'll hold all the springs in. So I mean, that would say putting the scooter on its side. I don't know. What am I like? Right. So we're going to get a spanner on that, and that will turn that a little bit against the compression, and then this will stop on the studs here, and it should hopefully undo that that nut there. suppose you don't want it loose, but that was definitely tight. Alright, okay. So we've got that nice little lock washer, lock tab. And now, I'm guessing this comes off. Here we go. So we're going to have a good look when this comes off, check there's no shims and things. So what we have got is a nice bearing. Nice little bearing. So that's good. And we should be able to get the chain off now, I think. There we go. Just checking for shims. There's another bearing in there, so I'll leave that in there. Just check the condition. It all looks very good condition, I have to say. And there's a shim here, so that's the wife. Yeah, so that's out of the way, and there's a little shim here, look, but we can leave that on there. So I'm not taking this apart, so I'll just leave that in there. So what the idea of me doing this, I just wanted to check that these are tight. These little nuts on here, because these are the ones they do shear sometimes. Well, they don't shear, they pull out the casing, and then you'll have these studs rubbing on the back of the clutch here. You'll get big gouge marks in here. So I thought, as I had it apart, we might as well check that. They look good. I can't see any evidence. So I have to get a whatever size that is. Looks like a 12. I want 13 here. Is that 13? No. Let's go for an 11 or a 12. Just a peace of mind, really, because when you're bombing along, didn't really want anything coming out. I don't think it would seize it. It would just make awful noise. Right, that's the right size socket. So get a ratchet on there. That's tight. These are all tight. Good, good, good. That's lovely. So it's basically a case of putting it back together now. It's refreshed my mind, which is good. But also, any of you chaps that watch my video, I know it's not a moped, but it's something just showing you how these Lambrettas, the clutches come apart really. And of course inside there you've got the, I call it a Christmas tree inside there, which is a tree of gears. And a selector, I'm guessing. Yeah, a selector must be connected to this rod at the top. I mean, this bit here is for the kickstart. So, yeah, I'm going to put it back together now. In the reverse order. Which is this one first. Actually, while I'm here, I'll just have an extra quick look. Just looking for any bad damage, really. The chain, if I'm honest, the chain does feel a little bit warm, but it's not a new bike, so I didn't want to start going. It's not a rebuild. I was just saying, we've got to get this thread done as well in a little while. Yeah, so we'll pop this on here. I've got my thumb on the little bearing. That's it. I guess what I do now, because that bearing rubs on there, so I've got to feed this in and it will support that other bearing. There we go. That's good. Lovely. If I had a new tab, I'd fit it, but I haven't. So I'm going to go for the old tab. It does actually look like it's been used once before, but it would be alright. So put that on there. I'm just feeling where the clutch plates go. So if you've got an old worn engine, these can be quite worn, and it gives you a juddery clutch. These feel nice and smooth though. So we're happy with that. So I'm now going to put the tool back on. Line that up there. And then when I do it up, it should rest on these other studs. That's it. There we go, that's tight. Again, there's a torque loading for everything, but I've just made sure I'm happy that's tight. Obviously, because it's got a hole in it, you don't want to be doing it too tight, you shear the bloody thing off, I think. But no, that's good, we're happy with that. So we'll get that lock tab locked over there. Look at that, there you go. I don't think I need to go any madder than that. Don't really want to start smacking it just to get that in. I mean, that's locked, so a lot of people just get a little drift, I think, now, and just tap that in, but I don't think we need to. So the next thing is we're going to be putting this back together. I'm pretty sure that we had that was on the outside. Here we go, yeah. So what you have is I haven't used it. Well, I have used this ages ago. I can't remember how to use it. It looks like this tool is for holding the springs. So put all the springs in here. If you're doing a proper rebuild, you'd be measuring these springs, I think, or even changing them, but we're not doing that. So now what I'm thinking is we can push this into here. Maybe doing this wrong. Don't know. Kind of makes sense. Put that on there. Not sure here. this kind of just goes, it seems to be sticking on one side. I'm not sure why. I'll make sure I get this right. So the tool's going to push that in, and then I'm going to have, this is going to have to be in place. We'll give this a go then. Have I got that the right way up? Oh fuck. Okay. Let's get me nuts on here. Extension bar put on the end of the 10mm socket. That 10mm? Nope. One of these is 10mm. One of them was 10mm. Where's that gone? That's 11. Actually, I've just looked at that. I've been holding it up there. I haven't needed to. There's enough gap in here to fit it all. I'll see what I mean in a minute. Right, so what I'm saying is I was thinking that the thread of the tool would be in the way, but it isn't, so we can pull it out of the way. Now, so that's good. What I can do now is, no, I do have to have them in there because I've got to compress this. I've got to compress this, so I'm not convinced about this. I'm just going to put the tool on slightly to see how that feels when it's compressing. Oh, it is going in, yeah. But the thing is, it only goes so far. That's because I've got this little plate of alley on. Bloody great, isn't it? Okay, let's just push it in like that. There we go. Okay, so I'm happy that they're lined up. So now I can I'll hold it in there. So the clutch, I'm just going to split these just to inspect them. Yeah, it'll be right. It wasn't slipping. No, they're not brand new, but I'll just have a quick check while it's all in bits. That's it. So I'll hold that. Put these clutch plates in. Squash the springs down. Presumably I've got to get this plate right down to there. Also won't get the clip in. That's it. So now I can start feeding these in. And lining that up. A bit more. There we go. So now my clip. It's going to go in, hopefully. Ah, got my glove caught in there. Don't really want that floating around the engine and the gearbox. Now what I've done is I've put I noticed when I took it apart, the gap of the circlip was so you could see it. I've put it behind this tab here, only because I saw someone do that on YouTube and they thought it was a good thing to do. Personally, does it really make a difference? I don't know, but I've done it anyway. So now I should be able to release the clutch. And that's a lovely little tool, isn't it? Like that. So that's it really. I never did have a chat about how tight that should be. Again, on YouTube there's a few people doing this. They do say, you know, leave a little bit of play there, as long as it's not touching the crankcase or anything. And when it's when this engine's turning, I think it's stretching this part. That makes sense because it's running it through there. So that's the, yeah, I'm not going to adjust that, rightly or wrongly. I'm not going to adjust that. So what I'm going to do now is I'll take this tool off. So I'm just looking around for that little knob end that goes on the end of here. I'll make sure we fit that back on. And then I shall cover this clutch up with some rags and we're going to drill out that hole and put helicoil in. Right. I just want to get this covered up. I don't really want a load of swarf everywhere. So I'll pop that in there. That should be alright. Yeah, I ordered a helicoil set, which came less than a tenner, the whole lot, so that's good. You can get the fancy ones in the boxes and everything, but this is fine. So what you have some helicoils, and these are, I measured them up, didn't I? Well, they are whatever I ordered. Where's that sound there? Anyway, it should say on the tap actually. Can't barely read it, I haven't got my glasses on. Was it M6 by 1? Yeah, M6 by 1. So what you do, you drill out the hole that's already there, and we'll just be doing it by hand. Obviously we're not going to be, you can get jigs and things so you go in dead square, but this would be by hand, iron it up, and luckily the drill will tend to follow that hole anyway. But you want to make sure you eye it up as square as possible. You put your drill through, and I shall probably mark it so I know I don't want to go drilling any further than the hole that's there, but that's quite, as you can see, that's quite deep anyway. And I can feel the threads up there. And then I shall tap it out nice and square by eye, of course, and then you use this tool here to feed one of the helicoils in. And then when the helicoils go all the way in, you have to get in there and break the tail off. I'll explain that in a minute, but we get you a bit closer and we'll get that done. All right then, so we're gonna just see how deep that is. It's about up to there. So as a bit of a guide, I'm just going to put a bit of tape on this drill. So that's not quite the full depth, but you know, that's deep enough. Even if I don't go that far, it will be fine, because you got the stud. So I'm listening outside. It's somebody outside the garage. Yeah, I won't go as far as that. You can see how far the stud's going to go in. Oh, I think you can. There we go. So yeah, let's just do it. Let's just not muck about. So as I say, we'll follow it through, but you've got to just eye it as much as you can, nice and square. It's a brand new drill, so it's not mucking about. It's going straight in, dragging me in. There we go. Ooh. Someone once told me it's best to have a slightly blunt drill for this sort of job. I can see why I said that, but there we go. So I think that's enough. That's gone in. Yeah, that's good. I'm just going to do a slight little bit more. That's it. And now I can get me tap. Oh, I've got my tap holder. Just going to get my tap holder. It's a brand new tap. It's aluminium. Shouldn't need any lubricant. So I'm just going to squirt a little bit. I will squirt a little bit on there, just a bit of WD-40. It should be fine. And just start that off. And again, just eyeing it as much as you can to make sure that it's square. That's going in nicely. It appears to be going in reasonably square, from what I can see. There we go, that's it. Flush that out. And now, get a helical. So with this helical, try and get you in the camera. So the helical is that. There's a little tang at the end, and that's what the tool connects into. And you're going to wind it in. I'll drop that bugger. Oh, there it is. And there's a collar, so you've got to adjust this collar with that little Allen key that came with the kit. Let's zoom you out a bit. Right, so you've got the collar on the tool, which you undo it with this Allen key. Oh, that's bloody great. It's sheared off in there. Oh dear. Cut. So there's the helical, and on the end of the helical there's a little tang, and that tang, you screw against that tang to screw it into the threaded hole you've just made. So with this tool here, you have to adjust this collar. I've adjusted it now. That grub screw is a bit knackered, so I've had to do it off camera. And the idea of that is so you can push on the bottom of the helical, but and also turn this, because if you didn't have that collar on there, you'd be stretching the helical as it was going in. So now if I just zoom in, there we go. We should now be able to feel it starting, and you want to keep a little bit of pressure on it so it just goes in, doesn't skip a thread or anything. Feels like it's doing all right. I'm keeping my eye on the this little shoulder ring. That should be about it. Now it's just got to go in a little bit more. So for that, I'm going to just loosen this grub screw off and do the last bit without that, because then I can see it going in. Just see the tail disappearing. And that should be it. that's going in nicely. If it didn't screw in, it means you skipped a thread. So then the next thing to do is look down the aerial, and I can see the tab. I'm actually going to go a little bit more, so that I'm happy that that's gone in. Happy that tail's gone in. Not the tail, just the last bit of the thread. There we go. And so I've now got to knock the end of that off, and that's done with this other tool. Sometimes I use a punch, which is a bit smaller diameter, because you can get in there and knock the actual end of the let's have a look. You can knock the end of this off, because with this tool I find it's just pushing the whole, tab. If you use a slightly smaller punch, you can put a bit of an angle on it, so you're definitely not going to push the first bit of the thread out of the threaded hole. So I'm going to get a little punch now and break that off. Yeah. So I've got a smaller, it's a tapered punch, but it's smaller, and get in the hole. Gives me a bit more, get a better angle on it. So I'm going to look down the hole. I can see the end of the tab, and I want to be hitting the bit that's still connected. Just a nice little, once we're on it, I look down the hole. Oh, and that's broken off. I can see it. Now what we've got to do now is get that bit out. Right, so I've cleaned the, I've put the stud in. That's gone in about the same height as the other ones. I've cleaned the surface for the gasket. I've got a new gasket to fit. So, and I've also got that little cover on there, that little, it's a little snubber really, isn't it? That was on there all the time, that's why I couldn't find it. So that's on there. So I'm going to put this back together now. I won't bore you with that. And the next thing, we'll go for a little run. Right, so I've cleaned the, I've put the stud in. That's gone in about the same height as the other ones. I've cleaned the surface for the gasket. I've got a new gasket to fit. So, and I've also got that little cover on there, that little, it's a little snubber really, isn't it? That was on there all the time, that's why I couldn't find it. So that's on there. So I'm going to put this back together now. I won't bore you with that. And the next thing, we'll go for a little run. Right, that's the cover back on. And the clutch cable connected. So I'm just about to put the exhaust on. I'll put this bracket on as well. I've just put a little bit of grease around the manifold here. So hopefully we'll be able to slide this exhaust on without too much bother. Let's give it a go. Come on, you little tinker. Nearly there. Might need a little bit of persuasion. big hammer gun. I've got a big fibre hammer. Here we are. Let's just have a look. It might need a little bit of a tap here. There we go. Make sure that's on. A little clamp down the bottom. That's it. Get that bolted up. Oh, come on. Don't muck me about. I'm very wary about doing these up. I don't want to strip the last one out of the crankcase again. Let's have a look. There we go. Right. What size are these in the end? 13. Right, so I'll do the manifold one, the clamp, and put the floorboard on, and the kickstart off camera, and we'll go for a ride. Alright, so there it is, all buttoned up. What I didn't video, I meant to, but was filling up the gearbox. So I basically just undo this plug here, and the level plug down here, and you pour in the oil. I used a little funnel, and it's SAE 90 gear oil, and you just pour that in when the Lambretta is sitting level until it comes out of here, and it's basically 500 cc's. I think the gearbox takes 750, but when you just do a drain, like we did effectively, it's just 500. So that's it really. So let's get out and give it a run. Right, we're on. So here we are. We're heading back to the railway station with the Rushden Lambretta Club. Where is he?
I think Matt's gone home. I heard something beeping.
Oh, right. So here we are, just going out on a little run. Went out last night with the lads. It wasn't a very good video, so I thought I'd do a better one. Well, hopefully. Just round near me, local area, and then I can sew it all together, get another little video out. Right, let's go for it. folks, that's the end of this video. A few little jobs done on my Lambretta, and the ride out last night and another little ride out this afternoon. She's running well. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until the next one, bye for now.